So you struggle with your dog pulling and you want to know how to use a slip lead. This is the perfect video to show you how to use a slip lead, how to build engagement with a dog, and perfect loose leash walking in one training session with a slip lead. I'm Ethan. I have trained hundreds of dogs. I have my own slip lead. There are tons of slip leads on the market. If you want to see how to use one, stick around. We'll see you there. So let's get right into it. Why would you use a slip lead with your dog? There are many tools on the market. There are prong collars, there are slip leads, there are flat collars, there are front clip harnesses, there are back clip harnesses, there are gentle leaders. There are a million tools, and a tool is only as good as we use it, right? We don't ever put a tool on a dog and expect them to just be perfect after that. It's how we use a tool. And a slip lead is just another tool. It is a great tool where we can communicate with our dog, especially small to medium-sized dogs that have an issue pulling, but might not be super high drive or super strong, right? It's a really good happy medium that work with most dogs if you use it properly. Right now we're here with Poochie, and she is on just a normal flat collar with a normal standard leash. And her flat collar is, I don't know, maybe about an inch, 3/4 of an inch thick. And so when I give Poochie pressure on this flat collar, it is dispersing all of that pressure, usually about around the front half of her neck, across that, say, 3/4 of an inch. And what a harness does, another example, is a harness is going to distribute the pressure of this leash across, if it's a back clip harness, it's going to concentrate the pressure across this whole area across a dog's chest and legs, the strongest part of their body. And I don't know about you, but I don't have my dogs in, really cold area where I need them pulling me on a sled. And there's a reason that sled dogs are put on harnesses, is it distributes the pressure so a dog can pull. Slip lead now, all it does is concentrate pressure. And the reason we want to concentrate pressure is so we can communicate with our dog. We don't ever want to hurt our dog or scare our dog into listening to us. What we would much rather do is just get their attention, get them to stop what they're doing, slightly discourage a behavior, get their attention, and then we can encourage behaviors. But balance training, it is so important to not only correct behaviors, but also encourage behaviors. And a slip lead is an amazing tool for that. Let's talk what type of slip lead you use. Well, we provide our own slip leads. We have a limited edition slip lead if they're on the market when you're watching this video. We also have a standard slip lead. And I have taken a lot of time to design these slip leads exactly how they need to be. There are a ton of slip leads on the market that are really thick, right? The rope is really thick, whether it's a 1/2 inch or, 3/8 of an inch or, 3/4 or an inch. And having a thicker rope disperses the pressure, spreads out the pressure. And we actually want the opposite. We want the leash to be as thin as possible. Another thing about how we designed our slip leads is we have made them out of nylon, and it is pure nylon and it does not stretch. It is very firm. You can think about the opposite of being like a bungee leash that stretches as you move it. Again, that is dispersing pressure. We want to concentrate pressure. And the last and final part, or at least main feature of our NCA slip leads, is it has a spring-loaded stopper. A lot of, Amazon standard slip leashes, they have a little rubber stopper that slides around, and I'll explain to you in a minute why it's so important that the slip lead stays where it is. Let's talk about how a slip lead works. Well, you can look at it and be like, oh my God, this is a noose. This is going to suffocate my dog. Well, it's actually not what it is. The whole point of the spring-loaded stopper, or stopper in general, is to pull it down snug around our dog's neck where it doesn't move around. The correction that we give our dog is not from the slip lead tightening around our dog's neck. It is actually just the concentrated pressure. It is not this tightening. It is it being really snug around our dog's neck and this pressure being concentrated so we can communicate with them. That is why slip leads are an amazing tool. They are not super aversive, and they are great at just getting our dog's attention. And I'm going to show you very quickly how we get a dog to stop pulling and build a little bit of engagement. So we're going to put this slip lead on Poochie. This is our 4-foot limited edition NCA slip lead. And when we put a slip lead on our dog, we want it to ride as high as possible, practically behind a dog's ears. So I have it high and snug. It is directly behind her ears, as high up as possible. The higher up the leash is, the more control you have. Again, right, think about a harness at an extreme opposite of that. A harness is really low to the ground across the dog's strongest part of their body. So if we put the slip lead really low, it's gonna be a lot less effective. Again, it's not about the tool, it's how we use the tool. And so what I'm gonna do with a spring-loaded stopper is I'm going to tighten it down pretty snug where I can fit one finger, maybe two fingers, depending on the size of your dog. If you have a bigger dog, you know, you might be able to get closer to 2 fingers. But, right, I can just barely fit 2 fingers under this slip lead, and it is pretty darn snug with 2 fingers under it. So now we have Poochie on a slip lead. Well, a slip lead, again, right, a tool is only as good as you use it. And if we take if I were to walk Poochie the same exact way I walked on the standard leash, I promise you she's probably gonna pull. If I walk with a tight leash, I am encouraging the behavior of her pulling. And so if I do it like this, well, it's not very helpful, right? Didn't really change much. It might concentrate the pressure a little more to make the pulling, you know, 20% easier to manage, but we're not really changing much. The key of using a tool properly is to always have a slack leash. That is proper leash pressure. And I want Poochie to understand, you feel pressure, you come back to me. The only time the leash is tight is when I give it pop. Yes, good. And just introducing her to the slip lead is okay if your dog itches, it's a new feeling. But just introducing, I want to just teach the dog, yes, with a little bit of spatial pressure, backing away, and a little pop, that they feel the pressure, they come back to me. That's the automatic response. Now we start walking. The second the leash is about to get tight, boop, to pop. And then the dog, we're gonna encourage the dog to come back to us. Good Poochie. She's very excited. You don't have to use treats, you can use treats. What treats would look like here, if you are using them, is your dog comes back to you, you pay them. But I'm not a huge fan of making our relationship transactional. I'd rather work on our relationship. And as you can see here, we're not hurting Poochie, right? This is a pain-free solution. All I'm doing is getting her attention. Boop. Yes, good. And that brings me into the popping motion. And the popping motion, yes, good, should be enough pressure to get your dog to stop what they're doing. If you pop and your dog continues doing what they're doing, like this example where I'm popping her and she's just completely ignoring me, we're not using enough pressure. We want to use just enough pressure to get them to stop what they're doing and look at us, right? That was a great example of the proper amount of pressure. Good girl. And it's okay, again, right? If your dog itches a little bit, it's a new feeling, they'll get used to it. But now we're gonna start walking, and every time she gets right to the end of the leash, I'm gonna use just a little pressure to get her attention. Yes, good girl. And I'm letting her figure it out. I want her to brainstorm. Again, you could see this is no pain. This is not an aversive technique. It is teaching dogs to do something with how they understand. Leash walking, or at least loose leash walking, should not be a command. We shouldn't tell our dog to walk nice or to, you know, loose leash walk. Loose leash walking should be the automatic response. It is an implied command. So we don't have a command for an implied command. It should just be the rule. And to teach an implied command, we don't use a command, right? We don't want to run in circles with that. We want our dog to make decisions and either reinforce these decisions or discourage these decisions. Good Poochie. And so when she's walking with a loose leash, I am encouraging her. I'm telling her, good Poochie, good girl. When I tell her that, her tail wags more, but she gets to the end of the leash, boop, pop. So that was her decision, that she decided to get distracted from me, not pay attention to me, and get to the end of the leash. I gave her a pop, and she came back to me. This is the bread and butter on how to use a slip lead. Once our dog really starts understanding it, we can just use our simple 3-step process to teaching a perfect loose leash walk. And that starts with sudden U-turns and sudden stops and then some sporadic walking. 1 or 2 sessions, you will be 98% of the way there. Sorry to interrupt your video. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about these bad boys, Impact Dog Crates. I train a ton of dogs and I have a ton of dogs in crates. A crate should be your dog's safe space, and Impact Crate does that. They are made of high-grade aluminum, made in America. They are really easy to move around. Your crate is essentially your dog's home, so why not go a little bit above and beyond and get your dog a very nice home? At checkout, use code Ethan10 or use the link in the description below to get your impact crate today. Now back to your video. First, with our sudden U-turns, what I'm doing is I'm waiting for Poochie to get distracted. I'm waiting for her to walk right to the end of the leash before the leash gets tight, and I'm turning around and walking the other way. The key to a proper U-turn is to pop. It's not a pull. I'm not pulling the dog the other way. I'm popping. And when I administer the pop, I am, good girl, I am already turned around walking the other way. And you can see I'm using enough pressure because I'm getting her attention. She's not freaking out. She's not scared, but I'm getting her attention and she's going with me. That's how we use a slip lead perfectly. And I don't want her to feel the pop, turn around and see me, right? Or at least see me looking at her. I want, when I pop, to already be walking the opposite direction. Good girl. And she almost caught me on that one. So we'll do this a couple more times until she catches me. When she catches me, do the U-turn. We're gonna heavily praise that behavior like she did just now. So she kind of caught me, but she stopped. And so that tells me is I'm using just slightly not enough pressure because I really want to get her attention. I don't want to hurt her. I just want to get her to look at me and pay attention to me and be engaged with me. Oop. Yes, good girl. Yes. Nope. Yes, good. And you might look like a silly goofball walking around like this, but just for a session or two, I promise you it's going to make the world of a difference. No. Yes, good, Poochie, good. Right, I correct her tail is wagging, right? For all you people out there that say that, oh my God, you're hurting the dog, this is abusive, whatever. Tell me, does this dog look sad? No, this dog is as happy as can be. Yes, good. Good girl, good girl. Okay, so there, great example. She caught me doing a U-turn, awesome, great. I heavily reinforce that behavior. So what we are doing is we are using positive punishment. We are adding punishment when she's doing something wrong, when I U-turn and she doesn't catch me. That's positive punishment. I'm also using positive reinforcement when she does catch me, right? We're balanced training. So now we have sudden U-turns down. We'll practice that for a couple minutes. We'll quickly run through sudden stops. Sudden stops look like, nope, just stopping suddenly. And remember, through all three of these steps, your dog, this is a 4-foot slip lead. I offer 4 and 6-foot slip leads. In this example, 4-foot slip lead, she has a 3-foot, 11-inch bubble around me. Second she gets to 4 feet, nope, that is wrong. She can be 3 feet, 11 inches that way, 3 feet, 11 inches that way. Any direction she wants. But she cannot go to 4 feet. 4 feet happen, whoop, that's what happens. Good. And if you use enough pressure, you can get your dog to loose leash walk like this very, very quickly. A lot of people I see struggle with slip leads or really any tools because they're not actually getting their dog's attention. They're trying to pop their dog and their dog is just fighting through the pressure. This is a great example where I'm not getting her attention. You have to use enough pressure just to get your dog to stop what they're doing and look at you. Nope. Yes. And remember, you can see I'm always using proper leash pressure. The leash always has a little J. Oh, yes, good. She kind of caught me there. Let's see if you can. Yes, good. Okay, so the final step, which is sporadic walking. So how do we do sporadic walking? Combination of U-turns, sudden stops, and changing direction, changing speed. We're gonna, if you thought you looked crazy doing sudden stops or sudden U-turns, you're gonna look even more crazy here, but trust me, it will make the world of a difference. And we want this to be a fun, engaging, yes, good Pooch. Yes, fun and engaging for our dog, paying attention to us and engage with us. Our dog should understand that when we're on a walk, nope, only good things happen when you're paying attention to me. Everything comes from the owner. The environment that your dog is in should not be what your dog is paying attention to and having fun with. Your dog should be having fun with you. And if you allow your dog to go play in the environment, that exercise and activity and stimulation is coming from you, not from just being there. Everything in a dog's life comes from the owners. Or, in this case, the trainers. But sporadic walking, we're gonna be changing directions, yes. And when she's walking like this, I'm gonna heavily praise this behavior. Good. And every time she looks up at me, we're gonna tell her she's doing a great job. Changing directions, we'll try walking really fast. Walk really slow. A U-turn, a stop. Yes, good girl. She has an implied sit. I did not teach her that, but some dogs just naturally have an implied sit. If your dog starts lagging behind, pressure with direction to bring your dog forward. Nope. But you should be walking crazy, and after 1 or 2 sessions of this, your dog will be perfectly loose leash walking. You will never have to give your dog leash pressure again. And your dog is going to be significantly more happy with you, not with all the environmental triggers that are around. They're going to want to pay attention to you. And when they are paying attention to you, that's when we heavily reinforce the behavior. But using treats to teach a heel with a harness or a gentle leader is just bribing your dog, and when something else has more value, all your training is going to be out the window. This is a very balanced approach, a very practical approach, and your dog will have a perfect loose leash walk in a matter of 1, 2, 3 walks very quickly. Still needs to be generalized after that, but you are well on your way. This has worked with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dogs that I've worked with physically as well as online with social media. Found this helpful? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below, how quickly it took your dog to learn to loose leash walk. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, see you in the next one.